Hi, everyone. Welcome to pal2tech. This is March 8th, 2024, and this is the pal2tech show number 3. How are you all doing? What's going on? What's happening? It's Friday. We're going to kick off the weekend. Man, it feels good to be back. There has been so much going on. I don't even know where to begin. I really, and even leading up to this show, obviously, yes, we're going to open this thing, okay? But I had a whole other topic I wanted to talk about. A little organization some of you may have heard of. A few of you may have heard of it. I don't know. Little organization here called NASA, which pretty much I was down there doing a lot of cool stuff, and I really want to talk about it. But I know why you're here, okay? You're not here quite for this, although this can be interesting. You're here for this. I get it. So what I'm going to do, and I decided this about maybe 45 seconds ago, I'm going to put this on hold for a future stream because I put together a lot of clips and cool stuff to talk about. So I have all that, but I'll do it later, right? We'll do it later. But seriously, it is a cool thing that I was involved with last week, and I really do want to talk to you about it. I had the opportunity, and I'll just tell you very briefly. In fact, here's what I'll do. I'll show you one brief clip from my time down at NASA. And this was part of the NASA social, and they pick influencer. I hate that word. They pick people that are on the internets. And so they picked me. I was really thrilled. And so they invite you down there. You have to pay your way pretty much for everything, but they give you like this badge thing. Hold on, let me show you the badge, the credentials. Check it out. Look at that. So there we have an XT5. And sitting, by the way, sitting at that media event was the chief scientist for the International Space Station. And I asked her several photography questions, so that's all good. But I'll show you one quick clip, and then we will move right into the X100. What is it? The 6, the 7, right? So let me show you that clip now, because I think some of you may find this one interesting. All right. Have you ever wondered what space smells like? Right? Let's say you were, in a rocket, you blasted off from Earth, you popped open the hatch. Well, you probably wouldn't want to do that, but let's say you'd be fine. Pop open the hatch and you go, what does space smell like? Right? Well, one of the members in our group asked that question, and we, at the very last minute, had the opportunity, and this was actually incredible. We had the opportunity to meet. This was totally last minute, to meet 2 astronauts up close. We were able to talk to them. One of them was Leland Melvin. Okay, you can look him up. He's not only an astronaut, he's a football player too. This guy's really cool. Check him out. He's got a website. It's really cool. And I'll go into it when I have the dedicated stream on this. And then the other astronaut who's also really awesome is Nicole Scott. She has a book. And so this question was asked of Nicole, and I will play this clip, and then we're going to leave NASA. We're going to go to Fujifilm. Okay, but I think you might find this interesting. What does space smell like directly from someone that has actually done a spacewalk? Let's roll the clip.
So if you are exposed to something, like say you're in the airlock and somebody comes in from a spacewalk, the suit, the materials, they have this smell. It's kind of a, I don't know, like a sweet metallic smell. Kind of like a mild overheating radiator smell, if you remember radiators in cars. Yeah. And kind of a burny metallic smell.
Okay, that's really interesting, actually. Barbecue kind of burn smell. Now, I'm about ready to crack open this box, but I got to do 2 things first. Okay. First, I need to tell you that I know the footage that I just showed you kind of sucks, right? I mean, it was all over the place. I didn't know we were going to be meeting these people. And all I had with me, okay, pretty much was this, right? I mean, it was like, just at the last minute. You're carrying all this gear and they're so strict with everything. I mean, they're worried about not only what you're taking photographs of, if the badge is turned the right way, if there's a reflection on the screen of something on a computer monitor. I mean, and so you have to be very respectful. And so at that point in the day, I was like, oh, the hell with this. I'm just gonna walk around with this. And that happened to be the time when we had some VIPs that showed up. So a lesson for all of you. Just carry this thing with you because you never know, right? You never know. Okay. Welcome, everybody. It is awesome to see you all here. Go into more stuff. Sorry about that. That was another clip that ran. I got a new setup here for the show, which I'm really starting to take seriously now. So I'm just learning it. And if you're attending right now, if you're watching this is show number 3. So I'm now speaking to future people and myself. Maybe you're going to watch show like 500 and you'll come back and watch show 3. This is the show that I want to jump off from because I love doing this. I love talking to you. I love sharing things with you. I love telling you stories. And I'm going to do that a hell of a lot more. Okay. I love teaching. I love, Fujifilm. I love all that stuff, but I've always wanted to do something like this. And the number one thing that's been this hindrance has been the technical problems, the software. Don't even get me started, but I'm getting through it every day. It's getting better. Who's here? Who's here today? I've been yakking so much. Sorry about that. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at who's here. By the way, new cam. Okay. I mean, sorry about the color balance is totally off. I mean, look at how I look compared to this. Right? So, and I got to fix that wide shot. I don't know what is going on. Always something on the pal2tech show screwed up technically. Okay, so we got wide, close up, and completely not matching shot. Although I do have 2001. Yeah, always on, always available. Overhead cam, good. Test. I may as well check it all, right? All right, there we go. Okay, so who's here? Natalie is here. Hi, Natalie. Good to see you. Good to see you. Michelle White, NYC, New York City, best city in the world. Miles, good to see you, my friend. And I very much look forward to meeting you one day when I get out to Los Angeles. Debbie, how you doing from Minnesota? Good to see you. You've been on the show before. Jim, excellent, excellent. Whoa, we got Mr. Jarble. I don't even know where is he on here? Oh, here it is. Okay, so let's see, how do I do this thing? Hold on. Okay, there it is. Let me move it down. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Jarble. You are awesome as always. I have a very special message for just you, and that is I'm going to meet with you again on Zoom, and I expect a full report on the project that you said you were going to do regarding videography, photography. I'm going to hold you accountable, okay? So have it ready. We're going to meet in the next 3 weeks. I'm just saying, all right? Thank you, by the way, for the kind, what is it, a super duper chat thing? Okay, so Dimitri, Jim, whoa, we got a lot of people. This is awesome. Okay, let's get to the X100V. I got to tell you something. Right? It's not that I'm sick of the X100V. I'm not sick of it, okay? But that video took a lot out of me because it was created in about a week, which if you watch it, there's a lot of stuff going on. And I didn't have a lot of time. Now, Fuji, obviously, they send out, test models, pre-production cameras in advance to various people, right? I mean, this channel is one of them. And I'm really honored, by the way. Fuji, thank you. But they're pre-production models. So when you get them, it's just the camera. There's no instructions. There's nothing. You have no idea what you're doing. And so the agreement is sort of, we get the camera from Fujifilm, right? We get the camera and we're going to do a first look, which generally is you open the box, you pull it out. Oh, this feels great. Yes, the ergonomics is blah, 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 blah. Oh, there's one SD card slot. You do some basic overview, right? But I have a problem with that. And I wanted to do more. I mean, I was supposed to do it was like an 8-minute first look. And I got out there with the camera and I started to see all these new features that I really liked, you know, like focus map in video and how very good the digital zoom feature is, the digital telephoto. And then the autofocus. And I started comparing it to the X-T5. That was the base camera that and it's not really a fair comparison, but it kind of is because they share the same processor, they share the same sensor, okay? So I figured, why not? And I started testing it out. I don't know. There's something about that X100VI, and everything about it should lead me down the road of, yeah, it's a great camera. It might be great for you, but not for me because it has, you know, only one SD card slot. It doesn't have a flip around screen, blah, 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 blah. But I got to tell you, it made me want to take more photos. And so I took more photos. So I had all these raw files. I had JPEGs, right? And the problem was it hadn't been announced yet. I couldn't talk about it. In fact, when I was out, I had to put like black tape over the thing. So what do? You have a raw file and nothing can open it. Well, what do you mean, what do you do? You hack into Lightroom, you hack into Adobe Camera Raw, which I did. And I was able to get it to display, right? But I didn't know if it was accurate or not. So what happened was I shot all this footage, all this footage, and then I tested it out as a webcam and all that stuff. Then the day that I was going to launch the video, Capture One updated their software. I don't know this. I mean, it's not like they tell me anything. I have no idea. I hear it when you hear it. So Capture One updated and then had official support for the X100V camera. So what I did, I could have done, you know, is there are two roads you can go by, right? I could have gone the direction of just publish the video and I'd get my weekend back. I'd get my sleep back. It would be great. Or reshoot, re-edit, install the software, retest all of the raw files, dynamic range. I mean, the whole bit. You know what I did. That's why the video is 48 minutes. So I did it. And I wanted to do that because it, you know, I had the opportunity and I feel very lucky. I know that a number of YouTubers didn't get the camera and I know what that feels like. And it really sucks because YouTube is the hardest job I've ever had. And when you're working as hard as you are and you're not, for whatever reason, you're not getting this, it kind of stings, you know? So I felt this sense of obligation and there was no way in hell I was going to keep this camera 1 second longer than I agreed to. So the clock was ticking and blah, 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 blah. So anyway, I was able to get it done. And yeah, but now we have a production model. This is the real deal. I can now say anything I want about this thing. And I have this for 2 weeks. And what I did for today's show is I decided not to open it, not to look at it, not to think about it. I didn't even take notes. I normally rehearse these live shows, believe it or not. And I did nothing, because I wanted to open this and to think about how I would set it up, what I would recommend for various types of users for this live in front of you. And let's do it together. Okay. I am not recommending that you just rush out and spend all your money and buy this thing at all. I'm simply saying that they sent me this. And if you'd like to see my impressions of it, go watch my video because I am not going to repeat 48 minutes of all the testing that I did in that video at all here. But what I am going to do is we're going to open this up. I'm going to act as if I'm going to actually feel, I'm going to get in that zone as if, okay, I'm setting this up for the first time. What do I do? So this is more geared towards people who've, maybe they're not as experienced with Fujifilm, or maybe, you know, they just need some extra help in setting it up. That's what this show is for. We're going to do that. And then I'm going to open up to questions and answers, because I have used it and I know there's a lot of questions on it. Believe me, I don't have all the answers at all for this thing, but I'll help you however I can. And I just want to say one more final thing. If I don't get to your comment, if I don't see, even if you super whatever the heck that is, super dollar chat me, it's not that I'm ignoring you. I have this weird narrow thing of focus where all I see is you and the entire world goes gray. I just don't see anything. And because I don't have assistants who are monitoring and, you know, and and moderating this show, I sometimes miss things, but I do promise that after the show, I will read every comment and I will do my best to get back in touch with you to answer your questions. So just wanted to say that. All right. So before I open it, you need a little water. Let's check in. Are we even live? I didn't even check. Mr. Jarble again with the, okay, so Mr. Jarble did this thing where he's gifted, I don't understand any of this stuff, but it's like 20 gifts of something. I think it's channel membership gifts. And so, Christopher Wu, thank you. Wow. Oh, wait, let me try my new thing. I hope that worked. Okay. So yeah, thank you both, Mr. Jarble and Christopher. I don't exactly know how that works, but they've gifted channel memberships. So get in touch with them and they'll explain it a lot better than I could. Okay. All right, let's do it. This is a silver X100V. Okay. Now let me get this space ready for it, because again, I've done nothing to prepare for this at all. It's like I just came back from B&H or wherever, Adorama, whoever, or your local camera store. Okay. All right, let's just make sure you can see what I see. Okay, do we have, yeah, there we go. Okay, how's that look? Does that look good? Can we see it? So, nice box here, everything's good. It's a sample, I don't know what that means, but it's silver. Let's open it up. Let's open it up. You know, I just realized, I just realized something. I should probably shoot this like well, because I didn't tell you this, but I'm going to be making a number of videos with this unit before I have to return it. The clock is ticking. I have 2 weeks. And they're going to be tutorials and education pieces on how to use it. So I'm going to ask you this now, and then I'll ask it at the end of the stream. But if you have any topic on this camera that you want me to cover, please let me know in the comments. I can't promise you I'll do it, but if I see that a number of people have asked the same comment, I will make a video on it. Okay. All right, here we go. Overhead. This is the, can I get a light on here? Light. There we go. A little bit of light. Okay. So opening it up right now. Yeah, they don't have a deal with Capture One. Okay. So opening this up, and I think we're a little too hot. Ah, there we go. How's that? Is that better? Okay. Okay, well, there you go. I don't have dramatic music, sorry. This is still too hot. Okay. Can pal2tech get an exposure right? Okay. Oh, wow. Whoa, I like silver, boy. Oh, look at that. Have a look at this. Oh. Could we please have a moment of silence here? Shh, moment of silence. Can we focus on this thing? Come on. I have an XT2 shooting this, by the way. Okay, so here it is. There's the top. Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay. So we have one camera, All right, silver. Okay, so there's a few things in here. This is a camera strap, whatever. This is a USB-C to A, I think it is, right? Now, I do have, and I'm going to point out, that light's really bugging me. I'm going to point out a few things that I think, Fuji, you could maybe do a little better for the next one, okay? The first is the length of this thing, okay? It's a little short. I mean, you know, it's not the end of the world. Anybody can buy these things, but this is it. Here, hold on. That's it. That's the length, okay? So, I mean, these are practically pennies to buy, so it's not the end of the world if you buy. You could use any one you want, but it's a little short. Maybe, I don't know, 3 more inches or something. Okay, so next we have the battery. Now, there's been a lot said about this battery, and it is the older battery, right? The one that is in the XT2 and the XT3. And then the XT4 changed it over to this one right here. Okay, so here you go. All right, this is the one in the X100VI. This is the one in the XT4 and 5. Let me tell you something. Once you've had this, it's hard to go back to this. And I mean, one of the things that you need to be aware of with this camera, at least with the pre-production model that I tested, is that it does like to chew through battery, is what I noticed. I was replacing the batteries. Now, I have a bunch of these, so it's not the end of the world, but I don't believe that you can just get this camera and one battery and be okay. So if you are going to get one of these, it would be my recommendation to pick up another battery. Okay, at the very least 2. All right. So actually, let me put it in the camera because we're going to actually do everything here. Okay. Hope you guys can see all this. Flips right open. Battery goes in. Actually, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my own battery because it's probably charged. So this is my own battery. Same one. By the way, this doesn't shut like the other cameras do. You have to like do that. Not a big deal. Okay, so we got the battery in there. And what else? We have this little thing for the straps, okay? And then we also have on the camera, I count this as a separate part, but it's the cover for the hot shoe mount. You see that right there? Okay. Now, that's it. What's missing, guys and gals and everyone else? What's missing? Anyone? A charger. So you're gonna need a charger. I don't even have, someone's taken all my kids probably took all the chargers. I don't have the charger here to show you, but you need to get a USB charger, obviously, because when you plug this into the camera, you got to plug this into the charger. So I'm not sure why Fuji didn't include that, but they didn't. And I think it's a trend, you know, so I was a little surprised at that, but it is what it is. What do you think about that? Would you rather have the charger included and pay a few extra bucks for this, maybe, I don't know, 10, 20, 30, I don't know, whatever, or use your own charger? I think that's the decision Fuji had to make. I don't know which is the right one. So just so you know, no charger. Okay, so we've opened it up. Here it is right here. Look at that. Wait a minute. Ah, okay, that's better. Look at that. Yeah, this silver one is bright with these lights, you know, or highlights all the way over. I like the silver. Oh man, this is a hard one. I'm trying to quickly tell you what's better, silver or black. That's a tough one. Okay, that's a tough one. Can we have some light? There we go. The silver is just, it's got its own look. They're very different. I mean, look at that. I gotta tell you about this lens cap. I think it's the best one Fuji's made. It blows away the XT lineup, blows it away. Because you can do this. Okay, you can do this right here. It's not going anywhere. I mean, this thing, it slides on ever so gracefully, right? And it will not come off. I love the design of this. I think, yeah, crazy as it sounds, this is one of my favorite parts of the camera. I love this. So, okay, so here's your lens right here. Have a look at this. Okay, can you see it? 23 millimeter. For those of you that aren't aware, this is a fixed lens, okay? This lens stays on the camera. I don't have a lens on this camera right now because I forgot to do it before the live stream, but there's lenses back there, okay? I don't know if you can see them. Which way? Everything's backwards in here. Okay, can you see lenses there, right? So we have, you know, think about that, because when you have one lens, there's such great advantages to it, but it's very restrictive. But that can be a good thing, right? So that's probably, I think, the #1 consideration in deciding whether or not to get this camera is the fact that, yeah, I mean, it's fixed lens. So at least that for me it was. So just so you know that. In terms of ergonomics, let me look at the chat and see if anybody has any quick questions on ergonomics. Any questions on that I could answer right now for you? Let's see here. Natalie. Okay, Nick, thanks for joining us, man. See you soon. Hey, Michael Spatola is in the house. I still use my charger for my XT3. Yeah, so do I. It's a good one. Lens hood that stays on would be nice. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Okay, so Small Rig is coming out with brackets for this camera. Now, something you do need to be aware of ergonomically is that they have moved the tripod mount, right? It's been moved compared to the other ones. So again, I didn't own the X100V, so I don't have a whole lot of experience with it. But what I can tell you is that I think if you have cages and special grips, and none of those are going to fit on this. Another consideration to make, okay? So let's turn it on for the first time. Now I'm going to put an SD card in here. And one of the things you need to remember is that when you're testing stuff like burst rate, you know, how fast the camera can take photos, you have to consider your SD card speed, okay? It's not just the camera, it's also up to the SD card. So for this camera for today, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to test it out. I've got a few of these here. These are 300. These are 300s, very fast. And then this one is a, where is the one? This one's a 170. And I actually think this is what most focus. This is what most people have. Okay. So I think what we'll do is for now, I'll just use this one. All right. Now, something you should be aware of, the SD card slot is in the same area as the battery. Okay. So you put the SD card slot in, but again, as I said in the video, if you've got this thing mounted on a tripod or a slider or a gimbal or whatever, and you need to change your SD card out, you can't just quickly, you know, open up the side and change it out. You have to take the thing off and do the whole bit. Something to be aware of if you're coming from an XT model, okay? All right, so what I'm gonna do is actually try not to break the micro HDMI on this, and I'm gonna plug it in. But I can't plug it in until I can get to the menu and tell the camera to show the menu through HDMI. So for the first few settings, I'm going to have to shoot it from the overhead, okay? But I will connect it as soon as I can. By the way, is the audio okay? Is the stream quality okay? Please let me know, because like that's the stuff I was really thinking about a lot, even more than this camera, sorry to say. Okay. I have just turned it on. Let me move this down. All right. Okay, here we go. Focus. Okay, can you all see that? I hope so. Okay, so obviously, you know, English, boom. What is that? I can't even see it. Okay, so, you know, area setting, daylight savings, blah, blah, blah. I'm not even going to whole lot. I'm just going to go to set. Okay, and then you put in your date and your time and all that good stuff. Okay. And now, this is interesting. This is a new thing that Fuji has done. They have that smartphone. Now, when I tested this initially a few weeks ago, they didn't include it in the smartphone app. And I know that a firmware update may be coming that will obviously fix that. I don't know if it's come yet or not. I've been real out of it. I've been down, you know, taking pictures of rockets and stuff. So that's what this is about. I usually skip past this screen, and I recommend you do too if you're not familiar with the camera or Fujifilm, because connecting with a smartphone brings a whole bunch of other things you got to deal with. So I'm trying to clear a path for you so you can get to the basics, the exposure triangle, the stuff like that. So what I do is I would just hit menu OK just to get past that. Okay, so menu OK, boom. Oh, look at that. Okay, so here we are. Default setting, everything good. God, this is such a beautiful camera. Look at that. Now, as I said, there's two. These are great because you can use your fingers to feel which is the aperture ring and which is the focus ring. If you haven't seen my video, I cover all this. I don't want to repeat it all here, but they have a couple of interesting things about this focus ring. So it's all good. What we're going to do now that we have this on, let me go and put this into an ability that I can show you the menu real easy. And I'm going into the video settings. You can't see it. And okay. Hold on a sec. Oh, I'm so used to the XT5. That's right. Got to go into here, drive. Boom. Okay. There it is. All right. Let me show you what I'm doing. So normally on the XT5, you turn a ring, right? But on this camera, to get into the hardcore movie settings, you hit drive, and then you get into this thing, which is obviously your still image, your basic still image, or you can then high speed, ISO, you got these weird little toy camera things. But here is the movie stuff. Okay. So let me go into the menu. Let me know if you can't see this. And we need to go to HDMI output setting and turn this on. Okay. Normally you wouldn't ever do that unless you're, on YouTube teaching the camera menu. So, yeah, there's not really a setting I talk about much, but okay, so we're just going to plug in the HDMI. I'm really got to be careful because this is not my camera. Okay. All right, let's see. 5, 4, 3. See, I'm doing countdowns. I've got NASA on the head. 3, 2, 1. Boom. All right, there we go. Okay. Menu. All right. Let me go back to drive and okay. I know what's going on. My hand is doing this weird stuff because of the eye sensor. Okay. Oh, this is interesting. So if I have an HDMI on here, okay, I can't switch it back into stills. I didn't know that. That's new. Okay, so what I'm going to need to do now that I've switched it is I'm going to need to, can you see here? Boom, unplug it, then go into drive. That's interesting. No, it looked like it went into that. Okay, went into drive. All right, so then I'm just going to go back into, come on, there we go. By the way, everything I've done up until this point, other than, get past the date and the time screen, you are not going to have to deal with this camera. But when you decide to do it live on YouTube, you have to deal with it. Okay, so let me try it now. now that we're in stills mode, yeah, drive, still image. Okay. So I am going to go ahead now and plug this back in. Good. All right. One other thing I want to tell you is that if you're, obviously you're always going to hold the camera more or less from this side, you have these sticking out. So I don't think this affects a lot of people, but it did me, you know, because I almost wish they had been on this side, but on this side you have, you know, your focus mode. You see that right there? Okay. All right. So let's see if we have something that I can show you. Yes, we do. Okay. Let me go back. I want to start from the very beginning. We're going to take our time. We're going to do this right. Okay. Here we go. So we've just turned on the camera and this is what we see. So there's a few settings right away that I would recommend with any Fujifilm camera on planet Earth. And frankly, I'm really surprised that they're not default. Okay, so we're going to do the highest priority ones right now. Okay, here we go. Go into the menu. Menu. There it is. Okay. Yes, the stream is working out, isn't it? How are we doing on time? Oh, I got to hurry up. Okay. So we're in the menu. Go down to the little wrench thing, right? Oh, let's see, where was it? I think it's in button dial setting. And what you want to do is look for something. Ah, there it is. Shoot without card. I don't know why that's default. I mean, I'm glad that that setting is there because it can be used in camera shops to test it out, but I think it's insane that that's default because if you're not paying attention, you could go out shooting, the camera will shoot without card. You don't want that. Camera should not work at all unless you have a card in there for most people. So what we're going to do is we are going to turn that off, okay? And the next thing that I like to do, see if I have that focus ring, I think it's in focus, no, it's all. Okay, yeah, that's the big one. Command, okay, all right, yeah, that is so important. Let me just check if there's any other major settings on this thing. Now notice that face eye is turned off by default, okay? Subject detection turned off by default. Let me show you now another setting that really trips up people because they buy this camera, they open it up out of the box, and it doesn't autofocus quite as well as it should. So if you want better autofocus, follow what I'm going to tell you. Go to the little wrench, okay? And go to power management, okay? Performance. Why would you spend the money? Why would you spend the money on a camera like this and not want the camera to give you the best that it can? Okay, so this is another setting that you need to change, and I'm just surprised it's not by default, but it isn't. So here it is. Performance should be boost. Okay? Boost. All right, that's simple enough. And then there are other settings here I'm not going to get into, but auto power off, I always go in and turn that on high so that I know I can, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Because I don't want the camera just turning off if I'm shooting, you know, 60p 4K video. So, yeah. And the other thing I do, and this is just each to their own, I always auto power off. I turn that off. But I'm not going to do that now because I don't think a lot of you are using this for YouTube. So we're going to ignore that one. But those two I just showed you, shoot without lens and the boost mode, I would strongly recommend that you adjust. Okay? Okay, moving along here. So the most important thing, obviously, is IQ, right? Good to have IQ, but image quality is important on the camera. And this is a great way to start an argument, RAW versus JPEG. I'm not going to go there. Not going to go there at all. But I'm just going to show you what I do. I'm going to tell you my reasons behind it. Okay. What I do all the time is I go into image size and I verify that it is the best that this camera can do, which is L 3x2 2182. You see that right there? That is a 7728 by 5152. Okay. So that is important. And I verify that. Then image quality right now out of the box. Oh, you can't see it. Yeah, can you see it? Yeah, you can. Okay. Out of the box, this camera will only shoot JPEG. Again, I'm not sure why. I think it's because maybe a lot of people who are picking this up the first time, they don't shoot in RAW. I'm just going to tell you my rationale. Okay. You can always delete RAW files from your computer, right? Right click, delete, goes to trash can or recycle bin. I mean, they're just files. But RAW files are really unique for one huge reason. RAW files contain, oh, I can't take the lens off to make my point. RAW files contain sensor data, okay? Sensor data. And they can't be read. They don't look like an image. It's just the raw data from the sensor. So it has to be read. It has to be translated. It has to be demosaicked, okay? And Capture One, Lightroom, Adobe Camera Raw, et cetera, do a great job of that. Some better than others. But what happens is as technology improves, it is very possible that the raw files you shoot today will look even better 5 years from now, which is crazy for some of you photographers that maybe are used to film, right? How can that be better? It could actually get better. Not only that, but it goes without saying that with RAW files, you have so much more flexibility in editing. So for all those reasons, I can't imagine why most people wouldn't want to at least shoot in both. And if you don't use them, you don't use them. I mean, storage space, it's getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. You know, but you have to decide that. My recommendation always has been, is today on March 8th, 2024, and definitely will be when we're all watching the 500th live show together, is shoot both RAW and JPEG. So what you do is you just go into here and you just go fine plus RAW. Okay. Now, when you do that, you have a choice of RAW recording. Now, uncompressed, lossless, or compressed. Do not do compressed at all. So now your choice is uncompressed or lossless. Choose lossless. On my video, I have a significant analysis of the different files and how much size they are. I'm not going to bore you with that. That's, I think, the best choice you can make. For people who are not sure, go that route, okay? The next thing is RAW recording. Oops, sorry, no, JPEG. Here it is right here. It's default to JPEG, right? However, it gives you the option for this, you know, high efficiency format. I would still recommend that you, for now, keep it on JPEG, because good luck if you have, say, a Squarespace website, right? And you drag and drop into your little editor for your little web page an HEIF file. Not going to happen, folks. It's going to go, what the hell's this? So keep shooting JPEG. HEIF is great, and you get 10-bit. It's smaller. It's got all these great things, but not everybody's on board with it yet. And so you kind of got to go with lowest common denominator. I love JPEG. They're great. So nothing wrong with JPEG. Next is film simulation. I'm not going to get into the whole thing. Okay, you choose what you want, but I did want to point out that we have a new one, Reala Ace. I'll just choose that one. Okay. All this other stuff I'm not going to get into. These are all just shooting modes. Color space, I'm not going to get into that, but what I do is I put it on Adobe RGB, so I get the wider space, and then I can choose later on whether I want to convert that over or reduce it to sRGB. You know, if you want a video about this, let me know and I can get into the whole difference between the two. I mean, it's a good sleep aid, but yeah, if you don't know what I'm talking about, just leave it at sRGB. Okay. All right. Let's see here. I'm not going to go into any of that. All right. Focus area. Okay. Single point. All right. We're not going to get into that. Now, autofocus mode is set to all. I think for those of you starting out with a camera, I would actually maybe change that to zone or single point. I prefer single point, but you can play with this. And obviously when you go into focus area, you can then use the command dial. You can use the command dial right here and make the square larger or smaller, okay? There's a lot of options. Again, there's no way that I'm going to be able to tell you all these options today. AFC custom setting is, you don't have to touch that. It's pretty much the same. Boom, 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 autofocus, okay. Now here's a debate. I sometimes will change this. It just depends. You might get better speed for autofocus with it set to 117. So, you know, test that one out. I haven't done a real analysis on this with that difference. I'd actually like to, but I'm going to keep it at 117 for now. Pre-autofocus, I actually like to turn that on. Now, that will chew up batteries, especially on the X100VI. It will chew up batteries a lot by that setting, at least on the pre-production model. I'll check this one. So keep that in mind. But I like that it's almost as if the camera has a little bit of a head start with its autofocus with that. So I have found it autofocuses a smidgen better, which I'll take that with that turned on. Okay. Some of you may think I'm nuts. That's okay. I'm going to leave these off because we're not going to get into autofocus in this live stream. I turn on AF plus MF always, okay? AF plus MF obviously is when you have the camera in like a focus mode like this, okay? Let's say you've got it in S or you have it in C, okay? And you go ahead and you go to take the shot, you half press down the shutter button and the camera acquires focus, right? Well, you can then also adjust the focus manually. It gives you the best of both worlds at no cost to you. So I would set that to on, okay? I'm giving you pearls here. Okay, so manual focus assist, I turn that to focus peak highlight, and I usually choose red high. And that is, I've talked about this in other videos, but it basically helps you with seeing what's in focus when you're using the manual focus mode. Okay. Focus chat. We're not going to get into that today. Okay. We're not going to get into these either. Touch screen. No, we'll be here all night if I talk about that. Okay. So the other thing is that save self timer setting. I would recommend turning that on because I don't know about you, but I find that, you know, if I put it on 2 seconds or 10 seconds, I kind of want it to stay that way. And the camera will remember what self-timer setting you chose when you turn it off and then turn it back on again. So it's a nice little feature to have. Okay. All right. Boy, there's a lot of stuff I want to talk to you about. All right. Getting into photometry. Now, it defaults to multi, all right, which is not a bad place to be. However, you might want to put it in center weighted and try that out because it gives you a little more control. Now, I generally shoot in manual, but if you're using any type of program or the camera is deciding in any way, shape, or form the exposure, I would put it in center weighted and then you can kind of choose. But they're both good and I would try them out. Multi has gotten much better with this camera than I remember in things like the XT2 and XT3. So I'm very happy with multi. I'm just going to leave it in that one for now. Shutter type. Now, we're not going to get into shutters and all that, but just know that if you have mechanical, you are limited to how fast the camera can go. Drop it in electronic, and you can go up to 1/180,000th of a second, but you got to deal with things like I can't even think straight, like propellers that look weird when you take pictures of them. I forget the term for that. Now, you can put it in mechanical and electronic. This is not the video to go into that, so I'm going to leave it into mechanical. That's pretty much what I would leave it on, setting it up for the first time. Okay, now, IS mode. I would not put it in shooting only. I would put it in continuous, okay? Some of you who use Fuji cameras are probably going to be annoyed at this or debating me on this one, but again, yes, you're going to go through batteries faster. But again, you're going to have, I think, slightly better image stabilization, particularly for video. So that's what I recommend, okay? Okay, now, next, ISO auto. Now, what I do, and you got 3 choices here. I generally go into the first one, and I go down to here, and I say, look, listen, versus having a blurry shot, I'd rather have a grainy one. The heck with it. I stick it up to 12,800. Okay, minimum shutter speed. It just depends on my shooting. Now, compared to the X100V, which I think it pooped out at 1/500th of a second, this goes to 1/2000th of a second. So that's a good thing. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to say I really don't want a shutter speed on auto ISO lower than, say, 125. Now, this is just me. These are my settings. I make them up. ND filter, we're not going to get into that. Leave it off, okay, for now. Flash, we're not going to get into that. Okay, movies. Now, I don't know what, do you use it for video? If you do, you probably know all this stuff. So I'm going to give you the best setting for someone that mostly shoots stills. But if they want to take video, they want something with a minimum of hassle, a minimum of editing problems, and just quickly just get their video shot, okay? So for video, what I would do, I would get out of, okay, good. Oh, it's still displaying. All right, good. Sometimes this can screw everything up. Right now, it's in high def. You have all these video modes. I would actually put this in regular 4K 16:9, and I'd keep it at 30 frames a second, okay? I know 24 frames a second is also good. We're not going to get into that today, but that's what I'd recommend, okay? IS mode, I would keep it in IBIS. I would not put it in IBIS plus DIS right now until you know what you're doing and you're okay with any kind of possible warping that's going on. The difference between IBIS and digital image stabilization is if it's in IBIS, the mechanical IBIS unit on the camera, right? The actual mechanical IBIS is doing its thing to stabilize the camera. If you go ahead and you put it in IBIS plus digital image stabilization, then the camera is contacting ChatGPT and getting all kinds of technical information, coming down and processing your video or whatever after you've shot it. And sometimes it doesn't do a perfect job. So I would just keep it in IBIS for now, particularly if you're not used to this camera. IBIS, okay? IS mode boost. Lot of misunderstandings with this one. You would only, okay? I'm going to say this once because I've gotten so many questions about it. You use IS mode boost only, and I mean only, if you are standing there like a tripod. Okay? If you're standing there holding it like a tripod, put it in IS mode boost. If you're not a tripod, take it out of IS mode boost, especially if you are panning. Okay? So we're going to keep it off for now. Turn it off. Okay. Audio. Oh, wow. This is another Fuji. I don't know what you were thinking with this one. So these are both off. 0 and 0. So go into internal, put it on auto. Go into external and put it on auto. And do that before the sun sets today. Otherwise, you're not going to have any audio, right? Now, obviously, if you're used to shooting video and you know all about audio and you're an audio aficionado expert, then you'll probably put it in some kind of manual thing and run it through a preamp or whatever. But for the rest of you, for normal people, put it in auto. That way, oh, I don't know, the mic will work. So then mic jack setting, make sure it's on mic, okay? Make sure that mic level limiter is on for now. If you evolve one day and go into graduate program of audio, you might want to turn that off and have your own way of doing it. But I would strongly recommend, because that'll prevent clipping, audio clipping, which is horrible. So have that on, okay? All right. Do we have any more audio? Hold on a minute. Audio can be a real pain in the butt. So moving down, mic remote release. This thing, okay, is actually this little hole right here. You see that? You see that right there? It serves two purposes. It's where you plug a microphone in, and it's also where you plug a remote release in. And you tell the camera which one you want it to do. So that's what that's about. I leave it in mic because I don't really use remote release a whole lot. Yeah, leave that one on. Okay, so we're in user setting. Is there anything else? I don't for now. Sensor cleaning. Okay, I would leave it like this for now. That's fine. Shutter count. I'm not going to get into this. There's nothing to set here, but I talk about shutter count in the other video, so check that out. I'm not going to go into these, blah, 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 blah. Okay, sound setup. I would actually turn off some of these audio things, but this is just personal preference, okay? Screen setup. Okay, there are a few things perhaps we want to do here. EVF brightness. Leave it as it is for now. Leave it as it is. View mode setting. Leave it as it is for now. Okay. Leave it just like this. This is all good. Make sure that this is preview, exposure, white balance, just like that. Okay. Make sure these are just like this. It's all good. Exactly like this. Okay. DISP custom setting. That's an important one. Because that's your golden opportunity to make sure the camera shows you anyone? Histogram. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to go into, you can choose either the OVF or the EVF LCD. Let's just choose this one for now. And we're just going to go down to here and tick off histogram. I sometimes will also tick off framing guideline if you want that rule of thirds thing happening, but you know, at least do the histogram, please. Even if you don't know what a histogram is, you'll start seeing it, which will be like poking you and nagging you so that you can learn what a histogram is, because you need to learn that. All right. Blah, blah, blah. All this stuff is fine. Location. Okay, so I think we're down to, okay, then this whole blue. Okay, here, I'm not going to turn on Bluetooth. I'm not going to talk about it on this stream. However, if you want to use this camera as a webcam, go into connection mode before you plug it into your computer. Before you plug it into your computer, go in here and put it on webcam. Okay? And then what is this? Make sure this is on auto. Important, very important. And that's the basics. That's like set up so that I would hand you the camera and say, yeah, it's looking pretty good. Now go out and shoot. And then obviously you're going to want to, you know, tailor it. I didn't talk about the Q menu. I didn't talk about custom menus. I mean, this is, you know, but these are the setup settings for the X100VI that I recommend. And many of these are for other Fujifilm X cameras as well, particularly the X-T5 and X-T4. You know, it's all opinion, man. You know, so this is what I recommend. Now, there may be other YouTubers that think I'm out of my mind and, you know, you should only shoot in this way and have it set this way. But, you know, I suppose, let me show you one other thing, because if you're mostly shooting JPEGs, there is another setting that you might want to put on by default. And I would go into image quality, okay? And I would go down to sharpness. you might want to drop this down a little bit, okay? And the reason for that is sometimes, depending on the film sim, it can be a little sharp, right? So you turn it down just a little, and you can always sharpen it up. So just a suggestion on that one. Whatever you do, okay, please know that if you change this setting here, I hate this setting. I just do. Make sure it's on 0. Lock it on to 0, because if you take it off 0, the camera takes forever to take a shot. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. Let me go, and we're going to format the card right now. Okay. I just realized, did I have anything on that SD card? Because I'm in the middle of shooting it. Well, oh well. Okay, so right, back to here. I formatted the card live on the stream. Bye photos. So we're going to go back into, I'm going to take a shot without it, and then we'll take one. I just want you to hear the difference. Hear the difference. All right, I'm going to put let me show you what I'm doing. All right, so let's just do, 250 shutter, 5.6 aperture, right? It's just simple, okay? Just simple. And I'm just going to, I want you to listen to how, the sound of the shot, okay? Ready? Done. That's another thing about this camera. It's like no shutter sound. It's really quiet. In fact, I found myself not digging that, going into the menu, going into the little wrench, going into sound setup, and looking for manual shutter volume, which is default to off. That's why you can't hear it. And, maybe putting it to low or medium. For this video, I'm going to stick it on medium. For you, you can put it in low. Okay. So let me try that again. Here we go. So you can actually hear the thing. Okay. Camera overhead. There we go. Here we go. You can barely hear that. I'm going to do it near the it's there. It's that fast. Now, let's go ahead and put on that clarity thing. All right, so clarity. Here we go. Clarity. Do not set this on all right, let's give some clarity to this JPEG. Okay, so here we go. It's on clarity. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can hear. Yeah, you know what? You can see it through the back menu. All right, watch this. This is clarity. Tick tock, tick. Da, na, na, na. You see how long that takes? Let me show you again. We're going to take it out of clarity. Okay. Whoop, take it out of clarity. Now it's at 0. I'm going to take a photo. Okay. 3, 2, 1. That was fast, right? Save to the SD card. Fast, fast, fast. Let's put it in clarity. I'll drop it down for. Okay, here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Did you see that? I mean, that's a significant amount of time. And if you're shooting RAW and JPEG, you do not need clarity at all. So keep it at 0. Okay? All right. That concludes the overview of how to set it up when you take it out of the box. There is so much I didn't cover, like this little thing right here. Okay, this this little dial, the stuff on the back. Whoa! I just realized something. That's cool. The camera's upside down, and it knew that. And whoa! Okay, check this out. Hold on. Watch this. Watch this. This is really cool. Whoa! I didn't know. That's I didn't know it could do that. Okay, so I'll keep the camera connected. I need like a minute to just, because there's a lot of switching you have to do with this, but let me check in with you. Okay, so, oh man, that was fun. I love setting this stuff up. What did you think of that? Was it helpful or not? Let me know, please, because I won't do these if they're not helpful. Okay, we got Jonathan. All right, let's see. I'm looking for anyone that has, oh, Natalie, what do you say? Okay. Oh, yeah. The hybrid viewfinder. So one of the videos I want to make in the next 2 weeks before I return the camera is the whole viewfinder thing, especially for people who are coming from XT cameras that are just used to the LCD screen, right? I mean, there's a lot to that viewfinder, and I couldn't test it with the pre-production model as well as I wanted. So that is probably the number one on the list. But I'm looking for suggestions, comparisons, stuff like that. Y'all are just talking with each other. Nobody's asking questions. Stop talking to each other. Okay, let's see here. The 16 to 50. Oh my god. Okay, so this is what I see in the comments. I love raw files, sushi, and oysters. That's a great combination, man. All right. Why not? Hey, will this move? Hold on. Hide comment. Oh, it worked. Good. Good. My system's working. All right. Raw versus HEIF. Oh, that's a good question. All right. Rexford, thank you for asking it. Raw versus HEIF. HEIF is the same thing as, pretty much think of it as JPEG. In other words, when you shoot photos with this camera, when you take the photo, the camera, if it's making a raw file, is going to do all the processing. If you have that clarity on, it's going to add clarity. If you have saturation turned up, it's going to add saturation. If you have this film sim, it's going to bake it into that file, and it's going to save it to the SD card. However, if you're shooting raw, it doesn't do any of that. It just gives you the data from the camera's sensor, okay? And it makes some external notes about it, sticks it in a little kind of additional file that goes with the raw that's kind of metadata baked into it, and it saves it to the SD card. HEIF is exactly like a JPEG with how this camera operates. So all of the settings, the film sims, the exposure, all of that stuff is baked into it. So if you edit an HEIF, it's like editing a JPEG. In other words, you're a generation loss right there. So again, what would I do? JPEG plus RAW in 2024. That's what I would do. Okay. All right. We have, thank you. Oh, we have a super chat. Where are they? How hard would it be to like put a red box around the super chats? Okay, I can't find it. I can see it on the live screen though. Mike, thank you for the super chat, pal. I really appreciate it. And I can't display it because I can't find it. There's all these comments. But if I find it, I'll stick it up there. But thank you. I really appreciate it. Okay. Any other questions? By the way, how's the back order situation? Have many of you been able to get this camera through, I don't know, B&H or elsewhere? What's that situation like? I know that what I've heard is that it's not even, for a number of places, not even shipping until June. Hate to say, but I don't know. What's going on with that? Hello, Fujifilm Colombia. Oh, that's cool. Awesome. You are absolutely welcome, and thank you for joining. Thank you for joining the channel. Okay. All right. Where would you start with a firmware update? So it is asked by Petra. Okay, firmware update. If you have the app connected to the camera, you can do it through the app. The other thing that you do is, you go to the Fujifilm website, you select your camera, you save that. You know what? Search my channel for firmware update, and I look for a video that was published more than 9 months ago. And I actually go through how to do it. I got bored of doing that, repeating it every time, but the earlier firmware updates, I go through exactly how to do it with an SD card, and the process and the procedure is very similar. You can do it with this camera also. We are low on time. Otherwise, I would actually do the firmware update on this camera right now for you. But it's not hard to do a firmware update. The one thing you need to be sure that you're covering is that you have a fully charged battery in the camera. You do not want your camera using up the battery and dying in the middle of a firmware update. That's a bad thing. So make sure you have a full battery, put the full battery in the camera. You put the firmware update on this card right here, right? And then that goes in the camera. Once you have the card in the camera's off, right? When you go to turn the camera on, you are pressing and holding down the DISP back button. I can show you what that looks like. So camera's off. I'm going to press and hold down DISP back, and I'm going to, while I'm holding it down, I'm going to turn the, I think it was on. Okay, now it's off. I'm going to turn on the camera. Okay, and you get like this kind of thing. So the body version is 1.01. I'm just going to turn it off because I don't have a firmware, but that's what you do. Hold down DISP back, turn it on, turn the camera on while you are holding down that, okay? But check my videos out because I go into the whole thing. Way more detail than you want to hear now. Okay, so does this get smudges, like fingerprint smudges? I'm going to run a very important scientific test right now. I should have brought my lab coat. I'm not seeing a lot of fingerprint problems that... Okay, so right now, first impression... This is like the, the sniff test. First impression, I'm not seeing any fingerprint problems. I've heard people mention and ask about the silver. Do you get fingerprints on it? No. No, you get them on the LCD screen, of course, right? I've already talked about this whole thing. Go watch the video. That's why I didn't talk about the LCD screen. But yeah, fingerprints fine. Okay, so Petra, to follow up, and for the rest of you on firmware updates, very good question was asked. If you miss a firmware update, so let's say there's a firmware update 1.23 and you don't get that one, and then so you missed it, and then 6 months later Fuji comes out with 1.24. If you go and you just ignore 1.23 and you just get 1.24, will that give you the one that you missed? And the answer to that is yes. Just get the latest firmware update and do not worry about all the ones that preceded it. Okay. All right. Doc Rock. Oh, man, I'm so glad you're here. Gah. Hey, Ecamm Live. Doc Rock is awesome, and he does a lot of stuff with Ecamm, and I spent all day learning Ecamm. It's software to make this stream happen, and I'm loving it. I love Ecamm Live, so it's just great. Awesome. I'm really glad you're here, Doc. Okay. Okay, so Joe ordered his... on day one. Joe, where did you order it from? I mean, because that's fast. Now, I mean, honestly, did you slip, like a duffel bag with, some unmarked $100 bills, in the back? I mean, a week? That's really good. That's really good. Okay, so no, I don't want a fro wig. Are you nuts? You know what? Jonathan, you are banned from the show. No. Kidding. No, I don't need a fro wig. I may get one of those shirts. Instead of it saying I shoot raw, it should just say I shoot raw plus JPEG. But no, I don't need to be. Okay, Midwest Camera in Columbus, Ohio. Okay, so everybody's rattling off cameras. Great. So Midwest Camera, shout out to them for getting that thing to you in a week. That's really good. Okay. Oh, we have a suggestion here. Future update with Reala Ace and video real-time tracking. We have tracking in video. So can you elaborate on that? Because I thought I had tested that out. But if there's something different I didn't, let me know and I'll look into that. All right. I think overall it's a fun camera and it's for a very different kind of audience, more. I'm going to steal a phrase from Sean Tucker because it's such a good one. It's more about people who are interested in the why of photography than the how, if that makes any sense. I'm not saying you can't do anything with this, like approaching that. I love this camera, but there's something about having that fixed lens and just the ergonomics of this thing. Yeah, it's a it's a great camera. It's just a beautiful, and I haven't even talked about the whole viewfinder and all of that. I mean, there's a whole series of advantages where you can turn off the LCD screen and it's kind of like you're returning to film, you know? So 2 weeks, I don't have enough time to do all these videos and I got to send it back. So I'm going to try and crank out the ones that I think affect the most people. But yeah, just know that this is a very different camera for sure. In just looking at it, I prefer the black, but that is purely just my own preference. I mean, you know, silver's good too. I have a silver XT3. I love it, but I still like the black in this one. Yeah, you're right, Jonathan. Sean Tucker does have a beautiful channel. He was on my podcast. He was a great guy. He, if you haven't seen that, look for the Done Over Perfect podcast. If you go to my YouTube channel on the homepage, scroll down. It's one of those categories of videos. It's called Done Over Perfect. And there's a video with Sean. We had a lot of fun. So yeah, he's a great guy. Okay, so I am going to have to jump off the stream because I got to eat something. I haven't eaten all day. I'm starving. So I got to eat something. Any last minute questions I can answer for you, let me know. And we will. And the other thing is that the next live stream will be not this coming Friday, but the next Friday. Unless there may be some other stuff coming next week. That's all I can say. So I may be doing a live stream a week from today. I'll let you know though. I can't say anymore. Fuji, I'm sorry if you're okay. So yeah, I am having fun with it. Have a wonderful weekend. What are you all doing? Any plans? You better get out shooting. I'm gonna go see Dune Part 2 tomorrow. Yeah, definitely, for sure. Looking forward to that. Will I be making suggestions for the function buttons? Yes, I absolutely will be. I don't use the Q menu very much. I turn that into a function button, but I will. I've already talked a little bit about the function buttons, but not as much as I'd like to. Will I do it in the 2 weeks that I have with this camera? Probably not a whole lot. I'll try, but these videos, you know, they take time to do, and 2 weeks is a it's a narrow window. Not that I'm complaining. I'm thrilled that Fuji. I mean, I feel honored that Fuji considered the channel to, you know, for 2 weeks is awesome. It's 2 weeks more than I thought I'd ever see with it. So, okay. Let's see. Yeah, everybody's seeing Dune Tune tomorrow. Yeah, good. All right, so I think this is it, and this has been awesome. What I'm going to do for these live streams, and I do want to say one thing, the whole NASA thing, there was a lot more to it, and I glossed over it, but I have a special guest that is going to join us, and we're going to talk a lot about astrophotography. And this person has forgotten more than I'll ever know about astrophotography, and I find it fascinating. So stay tuned for that. That will be coming. Unfortunately, I dropped the ball. They scrubbed the launch of the SpaceX rocket twice, delayed it for those of you that don't scrub. It's a NASA term. Delayed it twice. And I just couldn't sit around Florida any longer. I mean, you got to get a hotel. It's the whole thing. So I was able to I could not shoot the launch that I went down there for, but I did. Do I have it here? Yeah. I was able to go to ignition, Starlink, take off. So that was the Starlink thing. Here's a little tip for you. If you're ever shooting a rocket launch, okay, don't get your information from the official NASA live, YouTube or whatever stream, because it's 20 seconds behind reality. So when you're standing there and you're tightening, your tripod mount thing, and you're like, okay, 30 seconds, mission control says 30 seconds. And you're like, okay, you aimed it at, you got everything set up. And the thing about the rocket is you have no heads up that thing's going off. It's literally, and I'm not joking, it's literally like everybody's, okay, 30 seconds to go. And I'm waiting. Okay, in my mind, 30 seconds. All right, I have 20 left. I can just do what? Do I have the right film sim? Is it all ready? The exposure, the histogram, are we all ready to go? But as I'm thinking these things, suddenly I see this. Not a water bottle, but a rocket going up with no sound, nothing. You could hear a pin drop. It's crazy. And then it disappears in the clouds. And you're going, oh, I needed that extra 10 seconds. And the minute you think that, and the rocket has disappeared into the clouds, suddenly you hear this, it's this incredible, I can't even describe it. And if you're standing near the VAB, that big, do I have a thing of the VAB for you to see? I do, but I'm not going to run that whole video. If you're standing near a big building, the sound waves hit the building and they ricochet off the corner of the building, and they make this like Exorcist sounding, high, squealy, pitched, crazy. I've never heard anything like it. It was a trip. It was a trip. So I'll talk about this more on a future live stream. I gotta go. Doc, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Mike and Doc, I really thank you. It helps out the channel. Okay, we're gonna be getting off now. If you have not, I got to do a plug for something. I'm told that I never do that. So there's this thing called Backstage, right? pal2tech Backstage. And you go to pal2tech.com/backstage. And basically that is an area where I bring you behind the scenes and you get to see all this crazy madness as it develops. And I shoot a special coffee time video. We have a special Discord server that is just Fujifilm and filmmakers and the members of the channel. A lot of fun there, so that's great. Okay, so that's it. Listen, have a wonderful weekend. If you found this video somewhat helpful, give it the the like and subscribe. I loved hanging out with you, and I'm loving doing this show. So we're going to do a lot more, and I would very much like to hear your suggestions. If the audio could be better, if the video could be better, if I could stop talking so much, whatever, I'll take it. I'll take it seriously. Have a wonderful weekend, and thanks for stopping by. I'll see you soon.